Alright guys, this one's going to be doing a review today, this one's going to be doing a review for the Walking Dead universe, and in today's video we're going to be doing another discussion topic video for today. We're going to be going over some of your comments y'all have kind of been leaving over the last couple days, and one that a lot of people have been kind of asking, which is, Dan, which spinoff do you think we're going to get? What Walking Dead series do you think we're going to be getting after the events of the sequel shows, Daryl Dixon and Dead City? So, what do I think's happening next? What kind of spinoff do you think we're getting next? I'm going to kind of go over that in this video and talk about what I think Gimple and the creative team is going to do next with The Walking Dead. Because I said this in a video before, the world is their oyster, man. Seriously, I mean, they can do anything they want. The Walking Dead is one of those things where it's kind of reached a point where I feel like they can do about just damn near anything with it, and it would pretty much be in their nature, aside from going to space. I think space would be a little much, but, obviously, I mean, who knows at this point? They may even try to go for it. You never know. A zombie apocalypse franchise in space. I mean, you've never seen anything like that before, right? Exactly. That's how Gimple's brain works, right? So, it's always a possibility, I would say. But, on a serious note, where do I think this is going after these spinoffs end, and what do I think they're going to provide us next? Because a lot of people keep saying, they're like, Dan, the ratings are down, they're not going to do anymore, the Daryl Show and Dead City is going to be it, and then they're going to, kind of break off and not do anymore. I would agree with that, except here's the thing, is that I know what Gimple's going to do. He's going to do anything he can to get more spinoffs, and he's going to do anything he can to keep the brand going. And here's the unfortunate thing, is that AMC is not necessarily exactly a big network without The Walking Dead. And I think they know that, So I think they're going to let them do whatever they want to do. Because I think the thing is, they lost Breaking Bad, right? Which Breaking Bad was their huge moneymaker there for a little while. Walking Dead used to be their big moneymaker, but it's still somewhat of a moneymaker for them. My question is, does it cost more to make the spinoffs, than it does to actually get revenue from the spinoffs, right? Like, are they getting more out of it than they are to make it, right? That's the question I have, because I'd be awfully curious to know if it costs more to make it than it does to get back, right? That's the part I'm kind of curious about, because I feel like it doesn't make as much as it would to make it. Maybe I'm wrong in that, I don't know. Then I would start kind of saying, okay, maybe we will just cancel Walking Dead altogether and they won't do anything else. But thing is, Gimple's already talked about making a whole other phase of The Walking Dead with all these other spinoffs and all these other things. My personal opinion on this and where I see this going, to be honest, is the end of Daryl Dixon next year, with hopefully a reunion with Rick. I hope they're yanking our chains and they actually do it. That would be great. And then Dead City will probably just end on its own terms. Probably them going back to Commonwealth or, some generic, conclusion like that. Because I don't think they're going to kill Negan off in Dead City. I don't think they're going to kill him off in a spinoff. I just don't see that happening. So that to me is also off the table. I don't see that going down like that. But what I do see happening after these two shows are done, I do see them doing some kind of like a merging crossover timeline events. I don't know in what capacity. I don't know if they're going to go for like an AMC Plus movie or something, or if they go bigger, theatrical release. But thing is, I don't think theatrical release is going to actually necessarily happen, because they've already kind of betrayed, which this is Gimple screw up. He literally made a partnership with them, I remember, and they literally, they were like, yeah, we're going to, release it in theaters and everything, you know what I mean? And I think it was Sony or something. It was something like that. And they had like a big deal going on, and then, they betrayed it. The Rick Grimes movies didn't happen. So now I never see an official theatrical Walking Dead movie ever happening. Plus, I got to admit, rating-wise, I don't know how good it would do. A lot of people have turned their backs on The Walking Dead. So my thought process is with this is that they do an AMC Plus movie, or they do a AMC small little series where they conclude the main characters together, something like that, you know what I mean? Because here's the thing, I don't see them just doing more seasons of like a new pair or something. Like this time you pair up Maggie and Daryl and Carol and Negan, and they get their own shows. Like, I don't see them going that nuts, you know what I mean? And that would just be stupid at that point. So, what I think they're going to do is I think they will bring the characters together. I think they know they're obligated. I think they're not that stupid to make that go down like that. I think they're not going to have a choice, to be honest. I think they're going to have no choice but to do something like that, and then it's going to be the question of what next. Now, in terms of what's next, I mean, we know that they were thinking about doing an Aaron and Gabriel show. Why do I feel like at this point they're not going to do it? Because I feel like these shows got canceled, and I really stand by that statement. Look, I know it's not official that they got canceled, and with Dead City, we're still waiting to hear whether or not season 4 officially is the last season, but it more than likely will be. And with Daryl Dixon, we know it is. Listen, I believe that the plans that we heard for Daryl to go to all these other crazy-ass locations was true. I do think that is something that's going to happen. My question is here now is whether or not we're going to see that actually, come to fruition. Because to me, honestly, I don't think they're going to have Daryl tour the world after his spinoff ends. I would assume he wouldn't. I don't see the reason to do that. Otherwise, just keep the show going. So what I think is going to happen is that they will do other stuff overseas. I do think there's more content to come out of it. I think that Australia series is going to happen at one point. Whether it bombs or not is obviously the big question. I feel like it could because, again, the spinoffs have been so bad with certain ones like Fear and Tales and stuff like that there's not much of a trust in the Walking Dead spinoffs. And that's why I have such a big pet peeve against Fear the Walking Dead. And I always will, because a Walking Dead spinoff back in the day would have been an exciting thing. Because of the quality of stuff like Fear the Walking Dead, people do not take the Walking Dead spinoff seriously because they're like, oh, well, okay, I mean, Fear was bad, so the rest has to be bad, Unfortunately, that's the way people think about it, And again, I can tell, The Walking Dead World Beyond, that was not really that well received by at least a good majority of people. Nowadays, I notice people defend it, but beforehand, it was kind of a situation where people were like, no, this show is not good, And people were like, okay, Fear's not good and this is not good? Okay, damn, So a lot of people kind of just have not taken the spinoff seriously. So what I would advise them to do is to bring this to an ending after these spinoffs and do a season 12 and end this thing off now. Because you've already ran this for too long. I think you really should just end it. In reality, what do I think they're going to do? Admittedly, I think we have a small chance of Daryl getting home, and then they're going to do other random stuff. Whether or not they take characters like Eugene or Gabriel or Aaron and try to milk them as well, or they're going to try to, go the new character route, you know what I mean? Or they try to go the sequel direction, which I've heard this too, which is that they may just try to do a big time skip and have Judith lead a spinoff, you know what I mean? And then she's like the lead. You get a older actress and stuff like that, and you just skip a bunch of time in the franchise. You could do that, but I mean, again, like, you're kind of asking now to just stay in that timeline, you know what I mean? Which I don't know if Gimple's going to want to do that. So, yeah, to me, honestly, the way I see it, their best bet after these spinoffs end is to make a season 12. And I know people say, really, Dan? You really want them to go back on their season 11 being the final season statement? Yeah, I actually would, because they didn't end the show properly. They didn't. It was a good episode, but they didn't end the show, if you get what I'm saying. It cliffhangered into these spinoffs. So, because these spinoffs are coming to an end, you should resolve these characters now. You know what I mean? There was no reason for you to not do that in the first place, So, that's why I would recommend a season 12, or at least a massive final hurrah after these spinoffs end, is definitely the thing I would advise them to do. In reality, what do I think is going to happen? More spinoffs. Honestly, I think it's going to be more spinoffs, more pointless storytelling, and as long as they end the characters in a way that's satisfying enough in these, separate shows, I might even just walk away. I've heard a lot of people say, Dan, don't do that. Like, you can't do that. Like, I actually had some comments from people saying, Dan, like, there's no way you can leave The Walking Dead, like, and I'm like, listen, I'm not leaving yet, you know what I mean? I'm not leaving yet. I'm gonna see this through, I'm gonna see these shows through, but if I see that there's just nothing after this, and it's just pointless stuff, and it's not good stuff, you know what I mean? It's all just stupid, pointless flop, and slop, I'll probably step out. Yeah. And I've kind of thought about that for a little while. I think that's what I'm going to do, genuinely. Is if after the end of these spinoffs, if I don't hear anything of substance happening, honestly, I'm probably just going to step out. I've got other content on the channel anyway that I'd honestly much rather do than these lousy spinoffs. I'm sticking with Dead City and Daryl Dixon till the end. And if they give me a final, like, season 12 type of thing after that, you're damn right I'm staying for that. But after that, if it's just random offshoot new characters with their stupid Australia show that doesn't add up to anything, honestly, it's going to be time to reevaluate. So for now, I'm staying. But I will say, I am hanging on a thread after these spinoffs are done. Because, like I said, I don't know if I will leave. Maybe they'll give me a reason to stay after these spinoffs end, and it'll be like, oh my god, Rick's back, you know what I mean? Okay, well, at that point, you got me, you know what I mean? But if not, then honestly, I don't know. Honestly, like, without the main characters running their own shows now, and no Rick, and no Morgan, and no direction, you know, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to have an interest at that point. So that's kind of where I'm at, you know, when it comes to The Walking Dead. As soon as you conclude the main characters, you're not really going to have me there, honestly. And even Daryl, like, you know, I love Daryl, but if I just see it's just him in the franchise after a couple years of, you know, these freaking spinoffs being done, I'll probably call her quits, you know what I mean? And I think any good fan would do that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think any fan would. So, my thing is here is I'm sticking around till the spinoffs are done. I will review them in full, and I will cover Walking Dead content until that point. After that, if I don't see any sense of direction, I think I am for real, like, I think I'm going to switch my my stuff here around, because it just... It doesn't work for me if it's going to be pointless spinoffs. It doesn't work for me if it's just going to be mindless stuff, you know what I mean? And I've heard a lot of people saying, like, Dan, you know, you really should, you know, cut the Walking Dead reviews at one point here, at some point, you know? Like I said, I'm not doing it yet. I'm definitely not doing it yet. I'm going to see these shows out for the next year or so, see how these kind of add up, and see how these kind of, you know, go. And then I'm going to kind of make my decision what I'm going to kind of do. Because, to be honest, Scott Gimple is not, you know, running these spinoffs well. Greg Nicotero just bashed us last week, you know what I mean, which is ridiculous. The spinoffs don't have any sense of direction, and we're getting bashed on having real opinions on how we really feel about the spinoffs. To be honest, it's not a welcome home anymore. It really isn't. So what I'm going to do is, when these shows end, I'm going to kind of reassess the situation and see, okay, do they have something worth watching? Or is it just a bunch of pointless stuff again? You know, like these shows is. Because the only reasons I'm watching these ones is because it's the main characters, you know? Making pointless spinoffs with new characters and stuff that doesn't matter, yeah, at that point I'm going to reassess stuff, you know? Which I think that's what they're going to do after they do the end of the Daryl show. I think they're just going to go off and do random stuff. And that's when I'm going to say, okay, you know, what am I doing? You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at with that whole thing. So let me know how you all feel. Are you guys kind of where I'm at, where you're like, you're going to see these spinoffs out, the next 2 seasons of each show, and then kind of see what's up, whether or not it's worth sticking around? Because that's where I'm at right now. You know, if I get like a Rick and Daryl reunion, and I just kind of sit there, I'm like, I'm all content and I'm happy, you know, I might step out, you know, because again, the franchise is not going anywhere, but I also don't want to be tied down to it for forever watching pointless spinoffs. You know, once my main characters are wrapped up, you know, that's that. And if I ever heard one day, let's say I did step out of the Walking Dead franchise and I was like, all right, that's it for me, you know, and then I heard at one point that Morgan did return, you know, okay, you can make me come back to see that, you know, but that'd be like the only thing, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of, I'm loyal to the main characters. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm loyal to the main characters. Once you conclude them and it's just a bunch of random slop, that's when I'm going to be like, all right, yes or no, you know what I mean? So that's where I'm at. I don't know if you all are kind of in that position as well. I'm kind of there right now. Once my main characters are wrapped up, I'll see what I'm doing, because again, I don't really feel like sitting here talking about, you know, characters I don't care about, you know what I mean? And if the main characters are wrapped up, then what would be the point? You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with that whole situation. So anyway, figured out to update y'all. That's kind of where my mindset is right now. What spinoffs do you think they're going to do next? And are you sticking around post these shows? To be honest, I can't promise I am. I just got to see what they're doing after these, and then I'm going to ultimately decide whether or not it's a good jumping point or if I'm going to stick with it. You know what I mean? So I'm really like, I'm at a crossroads right now. I'm seeing these shows out. Dead City, Daryl Dixon. I'm watching these all the way through. After that, if there's nothing of substance, I'm probably out. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts. Post your comments down below, guys. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoy videos like this, be sure to click subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos. Make sure to follow me on Dan's Reviews Official on Instagram, guys. And of course, I'll see you guys really soon for more videos of the Walking Dead universe. Enjoy the rest of the day, guys, and peace out.
Born in the dark alleys, city of concrete. Dan's reviews blowing up, never taste defeat. Walking Dead dissected every plot twist beat. World gone mad, TV junkies hit a treat. Typing up scripts, marathon through the night. His opinions hit harder than a straight fight scene. Every episode, brain sharper than a knife. He's the beacon of critique, shedding TV light.